welcome back, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to On the Real News Edition. As always, I am your host, and joining me today is Mr. Johnson.
How y'all doing out there? Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching this, on your phone, on the toilet right now, whatever you're doing.
All that
Stuff.
Mr. Woods.
What up, what up, what up, what up?
All right. Well, this is the show where we discuss all things on the real, and what we mean by that is what happened in the world of TV and news this week.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, TV and movies, not TV and news. We're not doing politics today.
Completely different show.
Completely different show.
Yes.
That would be the second page, which is coming up soon. And speaking of the second page, why don't you guys, if you can, we would really appreciate it if you would go ahead and like, subscribe.
Yes.
Come say hi to us. Leave us a message. Leave us a comment. It really helps us out a lot.
Yes.
And with that, we are going to get this thing started. What are we talking about today, Mr. Woods?
Sure. Today we'll be discussing Disney buying some interesting assets from Fox. Can anyone compete with Netflix in the streaming service business? Tyrese is at it again. Why?
Cry Reese.
Y'all said it.
Lyris.
More Kevin Spacey drama and the fallout from the Mummy flop. And what does that mean for Universal and their grand world that they're trying to build? Plus
It's not
other
gonna
things.
happen,
So,
Captain.
start us off, Steve.
All right. So first, there was some big news this week that I woke up. I think it was on a Monday. I couldn't believe what I was reading. I thought it was a rumor, and then it flew everywhere. And apparently, Disney has been in talks with 21st Century Fox to buy a large majority of their assets. Now,
Which is only the Marvel characters. Be clear, that's all they want.
no, that's actually not all they want. Not even in the slightest. That's all they want. Here's the
They're
thing:
not buying all of it.
21st
That's all
Century
I care about.
Fox. You say that until I've finished my
There you go.
sentence.
What else they own?
21st Century Fox wants to get out of the film and television business. So when we say Disney wants
They want
buy,
to remove themselves.
yes, they think that they can be a more focused brand if they focused on news and sports.
Oh, they already got Fox News and
Copy that.
And Fox
Okay,
Sports.
okay.
And so
Very interesting.
they do not feel
That
like
I didn't know.
they really can or should compete in this high stakes IP business, right? That's where they feel like the money is.
Well, you mean in terms of film?
In terms of film and television.
Right.
Now, so here's the thing
IP,
to think
intellectual
about here,
properties.
and we will get into the very soon. We'll get into
The nuance of it.
the Marvel aspect of it.
Okay.
But Fox has a lot of properties, and I want to throw some things out there,
Tons.
some tasty nuggets of properties that Fox has
Tasty nuggets.
that Disney may want. You may not know this, but 21st Century Fox, while Disney owns the Star Wars franchise, they do not have rights to episodes 1 through 6. So you would think that Disney wants those back, wouldn't you?
yeah.
It's not just X-Men or Fantastic Four. You know what else Disney may
Keep it
want?
going.
The Avatar franchise.
Maybe.
Interesting.
There's
Keep it
also Aliens.
Keep it going.
I would say the Terminator franchise. However, that's about to revert back to James Cameron anyway, so they
Right.
may not be getting that. But that's not what this is really about. And we're going to talk about this in a second.
Yes.
However,
About why this is critical.
it's also their TV assets because they would get the FX channel.
Oh, they get The Simpsons?
They would get The Simpsons. They get
Family Guy?
Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, American Dad, all of that.
Right.
Will live forever.
Because Disney wants to have a streaming service with
A
content.
conglomerate.
Right.
And this is how you get that content.
Right.
Now,
I'm a
the other part of it, now we have to ask ourselves, and we should also be clear, they are not currently in talks. Talks have taken place and they have currently stalled. Now, I will note that we heard this between Sony and Marvel, or
Right.
Sony and Disney with the Spider-Man deal. And we all said, no, that's not going to happen because they were like not in talks anymore. And then we
Right.
find out, oh,
Right.
Spider-Man's in the
Just
trailer.
like that, he's in the
So
trailer.
this could still it's a very real possibility.
They
that
don't
this
say
could
anything
happen.
until the ink is dry because
Well,
it's just like that's how you mess it up. It's just like with Dr. Dre when he got his little deal with Apple Music. It's just or like when they sold it for however much and it was like $1 billion and he was supposed to get $1 billion. It's just like how Tyrese, which we'll get to in a minute, how he almost messed that whole thing up with his internet shenanigans.
yeah.
Well, this is
You can't say anything until the ink is dry.
well, this is a barometer to actually get the feel of what's going, get the temperature of.
I don't think
of
so.
interest
I
of
think
what's
so.
going
I
on
think
out there.
whoever let this leak is fired. You know why? Because this news gets out, and now we're all talking about it, and all the fans are hype about seeing X-Men versus Avengers.
I want more money.
Fox is like, "Yep, pay me more."
Billions.
But that's what
Billions
all right,
of
so
dollars.
That's what I mean about getting the temperature. Well, and you're right that I'm not disagreeing with you that whomever leaked that, is going to get
Dunzo.
fired. But that
Unless
was
Fox
I'm
leaked
saying
it.
it was intentional. So
Unless
yes,
it was Fox.
so that you
It's
can get the
corporate,
hype. That's what I mean about the temperature. So now once
They
once
know
they
what
start
they
getting
want.
hype, once they start getting crazy about it, start frothing at the mouth, then they can ask for a higher price. They can, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just one of those things. It's
Now-
Is this
business
what
strategy.
you want?
Now, Mr. Johnson, let's
Business
just
strat.
talk to me about the possibilities here. Talk to me about why this is
All
great
I care
news.
about is these Marvel movies, man. I'm trying to see Wolverine in a damn Avengers movie. That's all I care about. We need that. Hugh Jackman will come back because he always said he would come back to do that.
Did he?
He's like, hell yeah, he'd do that. I need to see it.
Fun fact: Wolverine's first appearance was in an Incredible Hulk comic. What if you did that? And they've always in the
my
comics
God.
had beef with each
Yeah,
other.
if
What
they-
if you
a
did a
Hulk
Wolverine
Wolverine
versus
movie?
Hulk?
Right. Interesting stuff.
But Universal still owns the Hulk, so I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
but you could bill it as a Wolverine movie and just put Hulk in it like
Yeah.
they did Thor.
Yeah, definitely. They could do that. But there's endless possibilities. And really, as a comic book fan, all I care about is the Marvel properties because it's just like, it's all a connected universe. And it's just like, if you have all these toys, you need all the toys in the toy box to be able to play together. You know what I'm saying? To tell the complete story because it's just like, as someone who grew up reading these comics, I want to see all of these characters interact or be able to interact. And it's just like, oh, they can't because this one is at that studio and this one is at that studio. That's dumb. So just the possibility that it could happen, oh man, if they could work out, because it's just like,
What's
I
some
know
other
they're talking
comic book
about
stuff that could happen
billions,
if this worked?
billions of dollars.
Tell them.
Does Fox own Fantastic Four as well?
Yep.
Definitely that. We could have the Silver Surfer and Galactus and all of these other characters. There's so many characters that are in these
getting the
interconnected universes.
Fantastic Four, even if you just got the Fantastic Four villains,
Yeah.
it's a win.
Exactly.
Definitely. I mean, just all of the X-Men and all of these mutants, for them to be able to have all of those characters to be able to interact with the Avengers, it's just like it's the possibilities are endless. It's so many more characters to play with.
Remember that Hearts of Darkness with Wolverine, Punisher, and the Ghost Rider?
Yeah, I mean, in that perfect world, what's going to happen is with this streaming service, if they get the rights, we're going to see TV shows for all of these, like second rate or whatever character. We're going to see it all on the Disney streaming service. The possibilities.
Not
for
that Marvel doesn't already have this, but could we get Moon Knight?
There's going to be all kinds of TV shows on their streaming
What
service.
you know about Moon Knight?
I know he's like almost Marvel's version.
Not
I mean,
to
people
put you on the
say
spot.
Spawn.
It's just like, okay,
No,
you
I say
dropping
he's
Moon
more-
Knight
more-
out there. What you know about Moon Knight? Man?
He's schizophrenic now. They did a run like that. Moon Knight gets very weird.
Mhm.
Wears all white.
Yes, I know. who Moon Knight is.
People call him Marvel's Batman. I've heard
Yes.
such things.
I have his comics.
Okay, tell me what you think about this deal.
Well, for me,
Are you excited?
in the realm of the crossovers, yes. In the realm of business, no. So
That's what I wanted to get to. Talk to me.
So Fox is still, at the end of the day, Fox is still, because they said they're getting out of the movie aspect and they want to focus on sports and news, right?
This is all speculation. We just want to add that no ink is dry.
Okay, so all
But-
speculation, but if they're focusing on sports, their subsidiaries of Fox Sports 1 and their other channels, which broadcast with football, or as we like to call it, soccer, and things like that all competes with Disney anyway. So it's not as if they're still competing head to head at all times. And even with their Fox News stations, actually, if anything, I think they own Sinclair.
Does Fox own Sinclair? I thought that was its own separate, like, evil empire thing. Sinclair is serious.
All speculation. But
All speculation.
all right, so but listen, all right.
We're talking
Right.
about-
We're talking about
We
yeah.
don't care
Anyway,
about the
okay.
news right now.
Anyway,
Not on this show.
Right. So for me, just keeping it with comic characters, I think that it's very interesting, and we don't know what can go for future aspects as far as the business and them trying to go against Netflix. They have to have massive content. And so it was key when you had mentioned about the Star Wars, because they want people to eat that information up. They want people to keep coming back. Remember, you have the kids, you have young adults, you have older adults. They're just trying to get human beings.
The whole pie.
The whole pie. I mean, they
That
already
catalog.
they have females, young ladies, older women who grew up with Disney characters, princess characters, and things like that. So they just want humans. That's just their model. That's what it should be.
I mean, maybe they want Martians too.
We want humans.
Man, they're trying to get these dollars, man.
They're just massive dollars.
Okay,
you know?
so now all of that is amazing, and I was super excited when I first heard about this. But then I started to think, even in terms of just the Marvel comics, which is what I'm most interested in, with the MCU, I thought how amazing would it be to have X-Men in the Avengers, or at least to have them meet or doing something with that. But the thing, it gets sticky, because we've seen lately that Fox is willing to do different things, and
Disney would still do it. They would still have the rated R movies.
Actually, very happy with the idea. I love the MCU and everything about it. But I love the continuity, and I love that it's like the most expensive TV show ever made, and I love that the movies have different vibes, but they sort of look the same, right? Because they're using the same, they're using the same studios and things, so it feels like they're in the same world.
Right.
Now, what Fox has done is when they've played fast and loose with continuity. They've played fast and loose with continuity. They've said, okay, we're going to give you something like Logan, which is very different than the other movies we've done, and that's okay. And we're going to give you something like Deadpool, which is also completely different from Logan, but also completely different from everything the X-Men is doing. And then they're doing the New Mutants, which apparently will be a horror movie. And it's not about fitting into a single story. And this is not a knock on Disney. What Kevin Feige does is perfect. But I'm saying, as a compliment to that, it is great to have these individual sort of auteur films.
But still, Fox has just started getting this right in the past 2-3 years.
Right. I don't want that to stop them.
Yeah. But I don't think that it will, because Disney has another company that they put out rated R movies under.
Touchstone, but they haven't done that. They haven't done
but
that.
I think that they will if they get these comic book properties.
Right, and
I'm glad you brought that up.
We can't really say that, because they do rated R TV shows, so we can't say that it's out of the realm of possibilities to get rated R films.
Right.
If they have a company that they put those out through.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to say, people are saying, oh, it's Disney. Yeah. This is not your using a cliche. This is not your daddy's Disney. Or your mommy's Disney. Disney has blossomed or grown, expanded, whatever word you want to use, to this monster where they have they're understanding that we can't just stay kids.
You can't just cater to one audience.
To kids. Right. They want humans. And as what you said about Touchstone, they haven't come out with. They gave us Apocalypto.
Touchstone's
is
Apocalypto.
When was the last time that might have been?
You gave me Apocalypto, and you know how raw that was, and you know how
Look at the
different
Punisher
that
TV show.
was.
Look at Daredevil. Look at the violence in that, and that Disney owns that. So if we're getting it already on the streaming service,
Exactly.
you can't. It's not out of the realm of
It's not
possibility
out of the
that they will
realm. That's
do it
all
in
you gotta
movies.
say.
Well,
Exactly.
my point is,
Theatrical releases.
if they're doing those different things, does
Right.
that mean you will get
We won't lose
a
it.
connected MCU?
Yes, we will.
Right? Because again, if you're going to be in the MCU,
So you're
you
worried
have
about
to
the
look
danger
like
of
it.
where it has to now fit into the mold of what is already
If they're
working.
going
If they
to
cross,
interact.
yeah,
Right,
no.
right,
If the
right,
characters
right.
cross over, if this one is a PG-13 movie, then in this movie, then it won't. The characters, will just stick to the PG-13. Everything don't have to be F-bombs or whatever. It depends on the character and if it's needed for them to be bloody or whatever. They will interact, but it depends on the character.
Yeah, I think in that sense, to piggyback off of what LeVar is saying, that in that situation, it's just a friendly handshake where if that character is entering the PG-13 universe, they're going to
tone it
act
down.
accordingly
Because
to the PG-13
I'm sure like
universe.
if Deadpool
And then once they
did
go
it,
back,
he would come
they're going to
and
be
there,
back
and
in
then he
their
was just
rated
like,
R
"Oh, I gotta
universe.
tone it down," and then he just like, and then you hear bleeps, and he's like, "What is this bleeping sound?" It's just like, "Oh yeah, it's a PG-13 movie," and it'd be a joke like that.
Right,
that
he looks
Yeah,
directly
but
at the
with
camera
that-
like, "Sorry,
and
kids."
then be like black
With
out,
that-
like censored.
No,
Sorry, yeah,
would
that'd be the
would
joke.
that joke play in an MCU movie? I don't know.
Yes,
that
it would.
I don't know that it
It would
would.
super
Here's
play.
the thing that I want to say.
How long
Or
has MCU been out?
10 years.
Right, and so we're growing
would
old
play.
with that MCU.
No,
and in that, hold on, really quick, in that,
That's
you'll
hilarious.
find an ability to separate and navigate that, where these characters is for for the younger audience and older audience who wants to watch those films, and then these films are for the older crowd.
Also,
I guess what I'm
as time goes on, what's acceptable in a movie, in a PG-13 movie, like everything gets more graphic.
They've
The
raised that bar.
acceptability, everything, every year it gets more what they could show. So what becomes acceptable and whatever is just like, you can't say it'd be too watered down.
I'm just saying that Disney has a formula
sure they're
that is
capable.
working for the MCU.
Right.
And doing something different is a risk.
I think they'll figure it out. Don't doom
No,
this
no,
possibilities
they-
for me, Steve.
they-
Don't you be a
They
Debbie
will
Downer.
figure it out. I'm just saying
I need these
the
movies, Steve.
idea
That's what I'm saying.
that we're
Don't you try to sink
putting
the ship.
everything under one house, that we want that, because then
Yes, we do.
there is
Don't act
less.
like you don't.
As a comic book fan, yes, I want to see them interact, but there is some.
They could mess it up. I get it.
Yes.
But they're not. We
and
need
again,
it.
do we want? Because understand what we're rooting for here. We're rooting for a big company
For a
just
big
to get
company
bigger,
yes,
to basically
exact-
have a
thank you,
monopoly.
thank you.
And
that's
we
not
are
cool.
again. They're giving us these great products, but we are just cheering for our
If
corporate
they
overlords.
don't own
Succumbing
it,
to
if
the
they
ease.
don't have it,
Exactly.
then we will never see these things
But
that
that's
we
how they
always
get you.
imagined.
That's how they get you.
They get you. They already got me.
Oh, okay.
They don't already have you.
I'm glad you said that.
I'm
Steve.
just saying.
We wouldn't have these things to talk about
I get
if
it.
whatever.
I completely get that, but I'm
They're giving you everything you always
I'm
wanted.
saying-
How if they don't own it, how can we ever see it? So one person does have to
I
own it
know,
all.
but
What
what
are you talking
I mean,
about?
if they don't own my firstborn, then how's it
Man,
gonna be
don't
anything?
equate that shit. Sorry, don't equate that stuff to these Marvel movies because in order for
I'm not
for all
trying
these
to mess
characters,
up the
you trying to
Marvel
mess it up.
movies.
You
I'm
trying to
just
Debbie
saying-
You
Downer
are
that.
trying to mess it
You
up,
super trying to
Steve.
mess it
You
up,
super
Steve.
trying to mess it
Oh,
up.
with your
Just-
all negative Nancy stuff.
I'm just saying,
Negative Nancy.
should we think about it? It's all
Man, shut up. I
That's
need these
all
movies.
I'm-
I
Move
need
on
it.
to the next
Man,
topic.
all right.
Shut
Don't you
up.
mess it
just
up.
saying.
Just shut up.
I
Don't
don't
mess it
think
up for
Kevin
everybody.
Feige would have did Logan.
Man, don't mess
is
it
what
up for
I'm saying.
everybody, man.
And I don't think they would.
It's gonna be good. Everything's gonna be good. Positive vibes.
Everything is gonna be
Sign
okay.
the ink for the
Okay.
Marvel characters, especially.
Now,
Go into the chamber.
so there's that. So that's the Marvel side of it. But
Nice.
honestly, and again, contradicting myself, I think Disney would be a good steward of the Avatar franchise.
All right.
I don't even care about Avatar, man.
You know what I mean?
Avatar been so long since the last one. Who cares?
I mean, we can say that. All right.
Ah,
That's it. I'm done.
I
And
think
they
they
and
jumped.
they
Just-
yeah.
and they will
I think
get
his
the
moments is
first
past. Like
two-
everybody hyped for the next Avatar movie. You think? I mean, I'm sure it has a following, but I don't think people are hyped for that.
Okay.
Now,
Okay. See,
yeah.
this is what people do.
Because I'm hype about the Marvel stuff,
Yeah.
but I don't care.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no.
saying. That's just my
No,
opinion.
no,
If you
this
like
is-
Avatar,
This is what
then you like
people do.
Avatar.
They only think about the moment and they keep doubting James Cameron. When he
Right.
came out with Titanic, there's like, hold on, you're making a movie about a boat sinking? We know how it's gonna end?
Right.
Oh yeah. Highest grossing movie of all time. One
Still?
of the greatest. No, it's the second highest. And then, you know what's the first highest? When he waited 10 years and made another film called Avatar.
That's still the highest grossing film?
Highest grossing.
Like
All time.
like during its
ever.
theatrical run, or of all the money it made,
Of all the money it's made during this
including
theatrical
merchandise
one.
and everything.
We're not even talking about merchandise and everything. We're talking about the theatrical run. Star Wars didn't even beat this thing in the theater. 2.8 billion with a B dollars.
Yeah.
The Force Awakens, which is the highest grossing Star Wars movie, made 2.0 billion.
Yeah.
So that is the third highest. So the number one and number two highest grossing films come from James Cameron. And you know what he did before that? Terminator 2. And it's like,
Yeah.
you can't do Terminator 2 because that is 10 years after the first. Nobody cares about the Terminator anymore. He did Terminator 2.
I mean, mainly with this whole Disney Fox thing, it's just like to own all of these properties will cost an exorbitant amount of money.
They have it.
So they have it, but it's just like mainly like
They always
the
have it.
Marvel thing is what's making the most money right now. That like that's surefire. You know what I'm saying? All of them are going to make money, but Marvel is making the most money right now. So I mean, for them to get a deal done, I mean, they're going to sell all of these properties if they're trying to get out of it. But I think that's like the number one
How
priority.
much do you think
That
The
and Star
Simpsons
Wars.
makes in merchandise and
Simpsons is
everything?
on a decline. I'm sure it makes money, but not as much as it
Yeah,
used to.
merchandise though, like T-shirts, toys, and all of that.
Yeah,
That's
but
that is.
this ain't the '90s.
Here's
But
here's
we need
the
to
thing,
move to the next subject.
right? About with the streaming service, right?
We're getting to that.
We're gonna get to that?
I'm gonna come
Okay,
to that
'cause
in a
I have a
second.
question.
Yeah,
Go
we
ahead.
can talk about that in a second.
Handle your business.
More news.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of Disney and the conglomerate, Disney has just announced, or Lucasfilm, an arm of Disney, has just announced a new trilogy. This new trilogy they say it will be something new. So and
So this is under
It's
the
a new
guise
trilogy,
of
so of
mystery.
course it's going to be
no,
something new.
I mean, it's not going to continue the Skywalker saga. It is going to be something different.
Oh, so it's a
And
Star
it
Wars
will
trilogy.
be, yes, in the Star Wars universe. And this thing the first film will be directed by and also it will be shepherded by Rian Johnson, the director
Is
of
that
the upcoming
The
Last Jedi, which
Okay.
everyone seems to be very hype about. And
Okay.
apparently Disney was so happy with his work, he is going to lead the franchise to where it goes next.
Okay.
Now, there have been some rumors that he may be tackling the Old Republic. How do you feel about that one?
Oh, this is for me?
This is for
Oh,
you.
okay.
You're a Star Wars guy.
Well, listen. If the Knights of the Old Republic canon has not been used in Star Wars lore. Fans love it. Myself personally, or just speaking for myself, I love Knights of the Old Republic and that entire lore. But that's set way back.
It's like a couple thousand years prior.
7,000 to 10,000 years or something like that before the Galactic or Republic had even came into power. Now, if they do that or take some elements, and we were talking about something off camera about taking the essence of something, taking the essence of a comic, or taking the essence of a book or anything, and then adapting it to TV or adapting it to the screen.
Right.
And as long as you have that, then you're grounded in what you're trying to portray. If they do that, I'm hyped because the characters are endless, the stories are endless. But I don't know if they're going to do it. I don't, because with the Star Wars world and the universe itself, they can go a number of routes. There's some old books that haven't been utilized in a long time with characters such as Mara Jade and things like. But that's actually with dealing with still Darth Vader, so you can't really go there. But there's certain characters that you can bring up, and using certain writing and material, that it's endless. So I'm looking forward to it. Also, it may go with the. I don't know what this means about the trilogy because it might be about Han Solo or.
No, Han Solo has a movie coming out next year.
Yeah,
It's
Han
just,
Solo.
So
yeah.
this has nothing to do with
I mean,
anybody that's in
we don't
relation
know,
to.
but they're saying it's a completely new story.
I don't know if
this
it's the
universe.
rebels. I don't know if this deals with Admiral Thrawn and his background or anything like that. There's just certain characters that they
It's
can pull
about
out.
Mace Windu's backstory.
So
I'd watch that.
yeah,
I'd super
I'd watch
watch
that
it.
whole trilogy.
so for me, I'm excited, but Star Wars is endless. I said this a number of times already, so I am excited. It's endless. You can go anywhere. There's tons of worlds that they haven't explored, and I just look at it as Disney is making sure that they can keep the money train rolling.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let me ask you a question. Is there danger
Woo, woo.
in having too much Star Wars?
Too much sauce.
No, if the story is done right.
Yeah.
So if you keep
They
following,
got these properties. What did you think? They're gonna stop making
I
movies?
just think that Star Wars is so special because you get a little bit of it and then they ease off for
Right.
a while.
and then it
Are
comes
they?
back
Yeah,
to
could
fresh,
they
right?
ruin
They
the
start
brand?
putting it out, like putting them out every year.
Yeah, I know it works for Marvel, but the Star Wars
Unt-
franchise is very special. Is
But
But they're
it-
gonna expand it and
until
add
it-
more, show you more characters.
Until it doesn't work for Marvel, until we feel that we're exhausted with these superhero films. You may not, or LeVar or myself, but you do get exhausted
When
from
they
these
suck, until like
So-
if they suck, like then it's just like then I don't get enthused to see them.
Right.
We still go see them because it's just like we do a show and we have something to talk about. But even beyond that, we're movie buffs. We like watching movies. But I prefer that if I spent my hard-earned money on it, that it's entertaining.
it's
And if it, as long as it keeps being entertaining, then I will keep going out and spending my money to see it. You understand?
Right. So
You
now,
know, so just as long as it's
I
good.
mean, so you spent your money and now you want it to be good?
Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy.
who are you?
Jeez,
Who am I?
man.
What's wrong with
I'm
you?
everybody who pays money.
I think
Can't
with,
please nobody these days.
I know,
I think
right?
with
Gotta
the
be
Star-
good,
You're
too.
asking for too
I
much.
tried.
I
Damn
think
it.
with the Star Wars films and just in closing with what you're asking is that there's so
Are you
much
hyped?
lore. Yes, and there's so much lore that
By
goes
the
within
way-
Star Wars that I don't feel that people will say, okay, here we go again, another Star Wars film. But as long as it's done right, you know what I
Now,
mean?
what do you think about this singular vision of Rian Johnson? But
I
now
don't
he's
know
done,
enough about
He's
him
done
to know.
Looper. He's done a few other movies, but
Wait, hold on.
Rian Johnson did Looper.
You talking about the movie with
Bruce Willis and JGL.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay. Whew. I was thinking of that movie with Hayden Christensen where he was on the top of the pyramid.
No, stop.
What was that called?
What's that?
Jumper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Not-
you
not
see
to be
how
confused.
you see how I stopped for a
Looper,
moment? And I was
Jumper.
like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah. No. So this is like the George Lucas model where it's like, okay, he's gonna direct the first one and then he's gonna lead the story and then hand it off to other people, but it will be in his hands.
Right.
Here's the thing: what if we just all go and watch The Last Jedi and it's like, yo, that was a brick? Like
Then-
that's a lot on a guy for his movie hasn't been received by the public yet.
Then
How
Disney
much
will
confidence do they
immediately say we're not doing these 3 films.
Instantly.
That's Disney.
I mean, they don't have a problem firing people now,
You're
but
fired.
that was not the only news about Star Wars. Disney has also announced that they have, for their new streaming service,
right.
they will be releasing a Star Wars episodic television
TV show.
show.
So
So
Live
this
action.
is live action.
Why not?
Live action.
Now this is where I started getting a little
Well,
worried.
I
I mean,
actually,
they done already had cartoon shows.
actually,
The Rebels show is amazing, actually, and stuff like that. The animations and things. So because the story is still what you're used to, very cliche, but still what you're used to, what you enjoy about Star Wars, why you watch, why you invest your time and energy.
Yeah.
So I don't know about the live action because that's when you might get a little exhaustion,
Well-
especially if you have grown folk full time playing these characters,
well, here's the thing.
talking that jib.
Star Wars has such an expansive history to
Right.
its lore. There's so many wars and cultures and subcultures in this universe.
Right.
You know what that reminds me of? Game of Thrones. It is that
Expensive
level
of
of
depth.
history and depth and character relations and different worlds or different kingdoms and
The
houses and
vastness of
families.
the world.
So my question to you is, what if they really took it seriously? And this was the flagship show because they're going to have a lot riding on this streaming service. What if they said, you know what, we're going to give this the Game of Thrones treatment.
The Game of Thrones budget?
Yes.
Okay.
It's Star Wars. Why wouldn't they? They know Star Wars is a cash cow. Now, again, if they're going to do, I don't think that they're going to spend like $1 billion to make the next 2 Avengers movies.
Right.
They're spending $250 million to make Star Wars movies. Right. They know it brings them money. And if this is the thing that makes everyone go out and get that service that they want to turn into a new business, why wouldn't they throw everything at it? So my question to you is, maybe Knights of the Old Republic is better for that TV show, where you get all the context that you would get, and you have the different kingdoms, and you see the beginnings of the Sith.
That would be insane.
Now
they know what they're doing.
So
man.
in those circumstances,
right,
you can have my money, Disney, to pay for that service because I'm watching that show. Well, if they take it seriously.
But if you're talking about go ahead.
With the stuff Disney been doing, the only brick I feel that they caught was like Iron Fist.
Yeah, that was crazy. By the way, season 2 of Iron Fist has apparently gotten greenlit because, you know,
is it going to be Iron Fist
fail
Luke
upward.
Cage?
No, he's going to be in Luke Cage, and then they're giving him Iron Fist season 2.
Oh man, just do the
you understand
Heroes for Hire.
He tanked the whole Defenders thing.
Yeah,
there was so
much.
There was so much hype around it. Everybody was hype. They had 3 hit shows in a row, and then Daredevil season 2 with the Punisher. Right. Everything's going great.
Right.
And then that momentum is building because you know the Defenders is coming.
Right.
And then Iron Fist.
And then Iron Fist happens. And then everybody felt it when Defenders came out. They're like, oh well. I guess I'll watch it. At least it's only 8 episodes. I don't have to stay for the whole 13. It's like, what happened?
Man. It wasn't the hype and the whole fact when they was advertising that they had, when you clicked on it, it was Iron Fist picture there. It wasn't the whole 4 of them. It was Iron Fist.
Right.
Like, what the F?
What did he do?
He had white privilege.
Easy.
Blonde hair, rich, blue eyes.
What did Finn Jones do?
That was his superpower.
What did Finn Jones do to get this thing and then sort of just facing this to him? Okay, but besides that,
so
now
the streaming service, really quick, my question to you guys is, how are you willing to pay? If you guys have Netflix, you're paying for Netflix, which I don't know what it costs, $8.99 or something like that.
Come on, man, that's like $11.99.
So if you're paying for Netflix, and some people, not all people, are paying for Hulu and HBO and these things, are you willing to, does Disney have enough of a catalog for you to say, you know what, I can shell out, because Disney is not going to give you a $6.99 tag.
Well, actually,
they're going to charge you probably
$6.99 to $10, and I'm paying it.
Actually, hang on.
You'll add another.
Hang on. Bob Iger or someone at Disney has said that their streaming service, which will not be out until at least late 2018 or 2019, will be substantially less than Netflix because they'll have less of an offering. So because it will only be $5. Property their own. They're not like licensing property from other people like how Netflix does.
That's every Disney animated movie.
Now
every Pixar movie.
Less until once you get everyone in.
Well. Let me ask you a question though.
That's when you start raising the price.
Yes, you do, but only if it's warranted. Like Netflix wasn't always $11.99.
Right.
They did it, and I'm happy to pay it because honestly.
But don't they offer a $7.99 one?
They do, but you only can stream on one screen.
Right.
What I'm saying is Netflix used to, and has gone up to $8.99 now.
Not if you have T-Mobile.
Not if you have free
with your service.
But the point that I'm
Shout
trying to make
plug.
is,
give me a check.
Netflix charges what they charge,
right,
and you pay it because you know there's so much content there. You know
right,
that in the clutch, Netflix always has something for you to watch,
right,
and there's always something new. So they have earned that money.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, if Disney starts the price lower based on the properties that they have to offer, and then they raise it
Over time,
when they have more properties,
right.
I'm okay with that as long as they're giving me good
Exactly.
content.
That's why they're
I'll
about to
cancel
buy
it in
this
a
stuff
minute.
from
It all
Fox.
depends on what we define as substantially less.
Look,
It's gonna be like
people will cancel
$6.
it in a minute, right? if it's not worth it,
Right.
You're not canceling Netflix. Just like people ain't keeping Hulu.
No.
But this is the plan. You
So
buy
if
that
it's
stuff
not
from.
good, they're just gonna have to prove
They're
it.
gonna buy the stuff from Fox, so they have more properties, so they have it to put on the streaming service. So it's just like, even when you spend this money now, when people start buying the streaming service, you're gonna get it right back.
Everyone deads Hulu after 3 months.
Right. That 3-month free trial. You're done.
Done.
People keep the Netflix though.
Right. So, but now let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Even though
Can
some Hulu
anyone
shows I want to watch.
compete with Netflix? Even if they buy all the Fox properties. And by the way, they would not. It's not just the shows on Fox, because that's 24. Like we said, Simpsons, all these other
Right.
shows. But it's also
American
FX.
Dad. Yeah.
Only if these other
That's so
companies
much
are trying to
properties.
be cannibalistic and to kill Netflix. So if companies continue to try to take all of their properties away
Back.
to make their
Yeah.
own, but they know that's not financially smart, because
It's like people
now
buying
you
back.
have to get your servers and everything else and get your engineers and everyone working to make
No,
sure
but what
stuff is
to
working
take
behind
it
the
away?
scenes.
It's just
but-
like, shouldn't you still let these people
don't know.
use it, and then them still pay you because you still own it? It's just like, even though you're streaming on your service, you still gotta pay us to stream it on your service. We're gonna have it on our service too, but you gotta
Yeah,
pay
but
us.
it-
It's just like the same thing with streaming music. The more places you have it, the more money you get. You feel me? It's just like Jay-Z ain't gonna not. It's just like he may have it on his service for a while exclusively, but it gotta go over there for me to make all the money. You can't just have it on your thing alone. That's thinking backwards.
Yeah, but when
You hustling backwards,
when
doggy.
you're dealing with properties like Marvel,
The
and
pettiness.
Star Wars,
Right.
and these Disney movies, you know what I mean? Toy Story,
Right.
Maybe,
But it's
you could.
definitely the same as the
And-
music industry
And really
with the
quick,
streaming thing.
Also, I just want to say one thing
Sure.
though, to understand what this is really about. This
Right.
isn't about Netflix, right? Partly it is, but it's about Warner Brothers or Time Warner. Apparently,
the WB.
Warner Brothers or their parent company owns something like 80% of all the content that is out there
Yeah.
for
and
consumption.
streaming services.
Yes,
Oh,
they had
I
on the
did
back
not know
end. You
that.
don't know that, but based on the companies that are connected to them,
Right.
it's something like 80%.
Right.
And so when this shift happens and it's all streaming,
Right.
they need to be able to compete more with Warner Brothers than they do with Netflix.
And with that, and
And that's why they need the Fox content, because Warner Brothers will buy it.
we'll buy it. And with that, it's because Warner Brothers has a war chest like no
Right.
one has ever seen before.
Right.
And in order to
If
win
Warner
those
Brothers
wars,
buy it,
remember,
it's about what's in your war chest.
Remember, there's the merger that's going through, or we'll see, because there's some
Like, even
there
if
was
they
some,
sell other stuff,
talk about some holding it up,
Right.
but there's supposed to be a merger going through with AT&T to buy Time Warner, which would come with
Really?
Warner Brothers, and that just gives them even
Even
more
more
money.
money.
And again, this is all like corporate stuff, and we talk about it not because we're talking about the business. It's
I
just
really,
how does
really,
it affect
really,
the films that we love
really hope
being made.
that they work out a deal, at least for the Marvel stuff. Because if Warner Brothers gets their hand on that stuff, it's
No,
never
that
going to
can't. That can't happen. Here's the thing, and we're gonna move on, but I'll tell you how. And you should maybe be happy about this. If Fox is selling their content because they want to get out of the movie and TV business, the license that they have is not transferred to the comic book stuff, X-Men and Fantastic Four.
Right.
It's not transferable. So Fox cannot sell that license to someone else. If Fox goes bankrupt or they sell all their assets, that will revert back to Marvel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you can't transfer those rights. Like, I let you use it. I didn't say you could give it to your friend. But Mr. Johnson,
Next topic.
Our good buddy Tyrese.
Kyrese or Lyrese.
Oh boy.
So many names.
Why would they call him Lyrese?
Oh, because of that whole Will Smith $5 million stuff.
Explain that story to us.
Apparently Tyrese has been going around on the internet bugging out. He's been saying a bunch of crazy things lately, as of late. Be it due to stress or being to him going broke, as he would say, or him not being able to see his daughter. And he said that Will Smith was wiring him $5 million, but Will Smith came forward quickly and said, "That's a lie. It's a lie. I don't know nothing about that." Because it's like, if Will Smith has relatives that need money and you saying that I'm about to give you $5 million and my relative was only asking me for I was only asking you for $10,000. You got $5 million to give away? Shut up. Now you ain't getting nothing. You might have was going to get it, but now you ain't getting nothing.
That's what I think. I agree with you. That it was something like, why are you opening your mouth?
Yeah.
To say what I'm giving you and stuff, because they might have low key was gonna say, "Hey,
I was just like, you gonna have the tax man coming after me?
Now
I got $5 million to just give away.
$5 million to hand out. What are you doing,
man? Shut up."
So they were like, "No,
But beyond that, it's just like Tyrese. He came forward and said that he's been bugging out lately because of some medication he was taking. It's called Rexulti, or because he's salty. He's there salty at the Rocks and salty at his baby moms and salty about so many things. He's just mad because he ain't been getting back in these movies like the Transformers. He was begging to be back in that.
Does he have Bumblebee in his house?
He has Bumblebee in his house. There's a video of him there, crying and breaking down about his chef not being there, and he got to cook food himself, and him dancing around and being ridiculous
and going on a hunt for ramen noodles.
Yeah, to prove that he's like, yo, I can handle this.
This is what happened.
I know what it is. It's real out here. It's just like, I know what it is to struggle, walk. He's like, no, follow me. And just when he's like, oh, these ramen noodles are delicious. I could be broke. I could eat this struggle food. I could be like y'all common folk.
Tyrese.
But he came forward and said,
crying about his chef.
Crying about his chef. Crying about because he ain't nobody
his chef
booking him.
Left him.
Yeah, his chef left him. His wife is gonna leave him because it's just like he ain't known this woman long enough for her to put up with all this crazy. There's a lot of crazy for somebody to deal with that you just met, and you talk about you going broke, man. She gonna stay for as long enough.
We don't know that. I don't want to get into
I don't want to get into his personal life and all that, but it's just like him. It's a bunch of stuff. It's a bunch of shenanigans, and I really think him coming for, because he came forward and he apologized and he said it's because of this drugs Rexulti that he's been acting crazy. But
do you believe
all of this, I don't believe it at all. Lyrese, because it's like that's his publicist clearly wrote a statement for him where he's apologizing. He put some Romans, whatever biblical verse or whatever Roman, it's related to Fast and Furious. But it was clearly a publicist written statement for him to put out, because that's what every celebrity does. And when you bug out, you say, "Oh man, I'm having a mental breakdown," or whatever it was. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I mean, but It's just like he's trying to. It's just like, if you want to ever get a check in Hollywood again, you better fix this.
Better fix up.
Well, my question to you, Mr. Woods, is: can he fix it? Can it be fixed?
He already.
If you are a Hollywood studio, are you still working with this gentleman?
In the age of, I don't know, in the age of social media, I don't think so.
Now why is that?
Because
can't he just have a bad day?
Who has ever gone to see a movie because Tyrese is in it?
There you go. What works for some doesn't work for all.
I mean, I like Tyrese, but I ain't never gone to see a movie because he's in it. So, I don't go see the Fast and Furious movies because he's in it. I never went to go see a Transformers movie because he's in it. He might say something funny, he always does, but I don't never go to see it because he's the selling point.
So if you're looking for the typical thought process.
Now I'm saying you a studio exec.
Right.
Your job is on the line.
You
make the wrong decision, son, and a movie loses money, you're gone.
That's it.
You see all of this.
But do you see how simple you put that? For me, that's a straight no. Right? Now if my job is not on the line, and if I am of the group of the spectacle, then yeah, I'll put them in a movie, because I'm wondering, it'll garner buzz either way. If it's not a financial loss to me, I can put this yokel into a movie.
What if he turns it into a financial loss?
But would you put him in a movie, Steve?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So if you're asking it in that, well, those what ifs,
and I have another point to make when you answer your question.
and you're keeping it that basic that, listen, your job is on the line. Every move you make is scrutinized. Are you going to put him into a film? The answer is no. Just like that. Because the return is not worth the headache, or
So would
or
you
the
put him in a
unknown.
movie, Steve? Yes or no? With all the drama.
I would put him in a movie if I saw him and The Rock hanging out together, having fun, and he needs to make that happen.
Yeah, he definitely needs to beg The Rock for forgiveness. But also, it's just like, we can't say that he will not be given a chance, because we got to remember, like Robert Downey Jr., he was a screw up. You know what I'm saying? And people knew he was a screw up. He got locked up how many times for drugs and went to rehab how many times, and he was given another chance with Iron Man, and then we see where his career went after that. But Tyrese is not Robert Downey Jr.
But also,
you can't compare Robert
they didn't
Downey
know what Iron Man was going to be.
They don't.
Right? This was a comic book movie, and again, I know comic book movies had done well,
So,
but
hey,
they're like,
maybe
this is a C-list comic book character.
Right.
Let's throw him in there. Let's see what happens.
Right.
And
it worked.
It worked, but that's not the same thing.
The risk
Well,
didn't outweigh the reward.
They only got him because he was where he was in the industry at that time.
If we look at
Terrence Howard,
if we look at
pushing
these,
for him to be.
Right.
If we look at these comic book things and people who are screw ups and cause drama, well, maybe then they can make him Green Lantern, because he was campaigning for that real hard.
Absolutely.
He had the Photoshop picture on his page.
I'm not putting, not after these
Tyrese can save the whole DC.
Because see how toxic it is?
Yeah.
No, honestly though, because I can't put you as the lead
out of the mud.
in what could be another $1 billion franchise. I can't put you as Green Lantern.
And you're that volatile.
You're not. I don't know what you're gonna say.
Right, you're unpredictable.
If you see the people who play these superheroes, they're all like they happen to be actors, but they could be politicians, right? The way how they dodge questions, the way how they like
cookie cutter.
They're rehearsed, they're trained, and they know, and they're on script at all times.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr.
Tyrese does not strike me as the kind of person that is.
But I never heard nobody say he's an asshole.
Message all the time.
Yeah.
Who?
Robert Downey Jr. He did drugs, but I never heard somebody say he's an asshole.
Right, but again,
it's just like he likes to party.
They know what to say, and if
what
I'm a studio,
works for some doesn't work for all.
Right. So, yeah. Look, let me just give you some advice that you're not listening to, Tyrese.
Oh, here we go, another session.
We love you over here, and when you're in a movie,
doesn't sound like
we'll watch. It's tough love, but we telling you, just please
shut up. Shut your damn mouth.
Chill out. And I hope that you're getting
Stay
better.
off.
But you cannot put your business out there like that, because people like us are just gonna talk about it. And we love you. Other people, they're gonna be out there giving you the business. So
let me just say this, Tyrese.
Don't mess up the money, because if I'm a studio exec who wants to put you in a thing, I need to see that you could stay on message. And maybe you don't want to stay on message. Maybe you don't want to be controlled.
But you know what you need to do?
But then you cannot go back and say, I need this and I need that. That's
he
all
needs to
I'm
stay
saying.
off social media is what he needs to do. Somebody needs to take his phone away, especially his wife. It's just like, stop uploading that.
Who's the dude holding the camera? That's who I hold accountable for all of this.
I was just going to say really quick that you never know who's the handlers and who's the yes men and in his circle, because those people can be leechers, and you don't know who's giving him the type of information that is detrimental to his mental health, his, everyday physical, spiritual health, however you want to phrase it. So again, I mean, he's clowning. Yeah, giving me more information about the foolishness that Tyrese is doing. But when you're getting
putting Will and Jada on the spot,
what I'm saying is
he
needs to stop
stuff, man.
taking these medications, that whatever psychiatric meds, and just start smoking weed. Because weed will chill him the hell out. And then if he smokes some weed, then he'd just be there like, you know what, I'm bugging out, man.
Moving on.
There we go. I love the transition.
All right, so
hey, it's legal in California. That's where he lives. So it's cool. It's cool.
Our good friend, Batfleck, Ben Affleck, was in an interview because talking about the Justice League, which is airing
Next
this
week.
Friday. No, well, this week.
Yeah, what is this week?
This week.
Holy crap, Thursday.
We are in there at 6:00.
And they're like swimwear.
He was asked about his future playing the Dark Knight.
And he said,
What was his quote?
This was in an interview, and they said, "Hey,
slow
so
down.
with the Justice League, this will be your third time playing Batman. Will you come back for a fourth or a fifth?" And he said, "Whoa, slow down. I don't know about all that."
Wow.
You know what I feel about that?
What do you feel about that?
I feel like he said that because, one, he doesn't know if they're going to keep him around. Because with all these, allegations flying around, we can't forget that his name was thrown in there. And it's just like, like he doesn't want him. They don't want. He feels like maybe they don't want him to tank the franchise with, any allegations that might come out.
Yeah. So
because with the whole Flashpoint thing, that they could write him out of the DCU very easily.
They don't write Batman out, though.
They don't write Batman out.
They write
Batman.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck.
Out of,
Yeah.
he used the Flashpoint scenario to write out Ben Affleck.
So,
oh my goodness,
this was a thing, and there's always something about the whole DC universe. It's always some sort of drama, but this is interesting because everybody's sort of like losing their marbles because of if he's not going to be Batman in the future, what does that mean?
People are still going to see it. It doesn't matter about.
Do you remember the backlash when he was cast as Batman in the first place?
Absolutely.
And a lot of those same people are like, "Oh no, he's leaving now.
Yep.
What is he doing?"
Here's the whole thing, though. It doesn't matter. The cowl is the star. It doesn't matter who's behind the cowl.
It kind of does.
If the movie is good, it does not matter who's behind the cowl.
I'm sure. But I think that just to take
How
his
many people have
side
been behind the cowl?
for a moment.
And we go see every Batman movie.
Right, but not all of them are good.
Not all of them are good. Some of them were
you
terrible.
Can't say
it's just like Batman and Robin, and Batman Forever was okay.
Ben Affleck is going through some personal stuff too.
Also, here's the thing. If this guy who is a 2-time Oscar winner and has been nominated and
he won for Argo?
He won for Argo, but that was Best Picture. He was the director on it, but he was also the producer. He was nominated, and he won
Good Will
for
Hunting.
the Good Will Hunting script. But he's been nominated 3 times for his work. And
the guy's a prodigy, man. Since in my youth.
He is a serious guy. And imagine him doing all of that work, winning Oscars.
And grabbing side boob.
And then everything they ask you about is, what's going to happen with the next Batman? Like, you don't think that that's demoralizing a little bit? And a guy who really doesn't need money is going to be like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore.
Depends on how big
his last movie flopped. And if these movies are making billions of dollars, so you might as well stick with what works.
Right.
It's not
but
all about
also,
money.
like I said, it's because these things coming out or people saying stuff about him, he doesn't. He doesn't know if they're going to keep him around. So for him to say, "Oh, slow down," he doesn't know about that because he doesn't know.
But
it might not be because he doesn't want to do it, but he may not know if they still want him to do it.
Yeah, but even before all of these things were coming out, like the talk of him not coming back as Batman, those have been around.
Because his last movie tanked.
Of what you're saying is like, how does that think about Ben Affleck saying, "I'm this accomplished guy," and all you have to ask me every single waking moment is, "Yo, you gonna be Batman again?"
Yeah,
and it's just like, you know what? Keep Batman.
He's only 2 movies in, though.
Right.
So of course that's what's that. But I'm just saying 2 movies that have come out. So this is only he knew going in. So of course that's all they're gonna ask you about because that's all you've been doing. And these movies are coming out within the years to come. So what else would they ask you about? It's not like you have.
I'm saying,
you know what I'm saying? What else they're gonna ask you
care about the craft of filmmaking and directing, and you've played this one role 3 times now, you don't need money.
Yeah.
Do you?
He could have also just been saying it sarcastically.
Nah, you should have seen his face. His face was like, if you don't get the F out of my face with these questions.
But we can't forget that, his brother kind of let it go. Like, oh, is he still doing it or whatever? Like, his brother kind of hinted that maybe he wasn't doing it anymore.
Right. And I'm just saying, like, if you don't need money and you care about, like, filmmaking, you don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over. We love it, but I can imagine why.
Maybe he wants to be a
Right.
Clooney, he doesn't care if the movies do numbers like that, but he just gets to be artistic and put his vision forth.
Right. Very, very, very.
You can still win
possible.
Oscars even though your movies ain't blockbusters.
So, that said, speaking of the DC universe,
It's always drama with DC.
well, let's see if this is drama. Apparently, Suicide Squad 2 has a villain, and that villain is none other than the Black Adam.
The Rock says, my boy, Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne Johnson will be
Johnson's
the
got
Rock.
to stick together.
Now, let me ask you a question, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah.
What was the biggest problem
That's what
with
they call
Suicide Squad?
It was trash.
Why?
Why was it trash? Because this crap. Remember that?
Is it because they were fighting a superpowered being and they were all sort of normal
Normal
powered?
people? Yeah, none of them had any superpowers. Well, except for Diablo. Diablo had superpowers.
Well, no spoilers, but
He's
the
not
thing.
dead.
Here's the thing.
He's a demon. He's like fire. Like, you can't blow him up.
So what we're saying is the movie fell apart when they started fighting a super being.
It was really... The whole thing was about the characters' interaction with each other, and I liked their interaction with each other. It was definitely this crap that messed up the movie. For
Yes,
me.
the super being. So
Not even the super being. It's just how stupid she looked with the pop locking.
Okay, here's my point. The reason
what
that
that was?
film
Whatever
fell
it was.
apart to me
Or she was voguing or something.
was because you had
She was like,
these
3 snaps up,
sort
see
of
formation.
street level criminals that many of them Batman has caught.
Right.
And now they're fighting this supernatural thing, and it turns into this big special effects thing. And I always thought that movie would have played better if they kept it more down to earth,
Grounded, yeah.
which
Like
is
they had to
have the Joker be the
yeah.
villain. But it seems like they're making the same mistake again because apparently they're saying they're tracking a weapon of mass destruction, and that is the Black Adam. And do we want them in another battle that doesn't make sense in the end?
Right.
Like,
I mean, you can't really say they don't have superpowers because 3 people on the squad had superpowers.
what were those powers?
You had the Japanese chick who's with the soul sword. The sword takes your soul when she kills you.
Sure,
So that's a superpower.
I guess so.
Like, it lives inside the damn sword. Like, and she can talk to the people. They didn't show you all of that, but she can have conversations with the people, the souls that she's killed with the sword. You had Diablo, and you had the witch girl that they killed. I mean, so there's people with superpowers because they didn't know
Sounds
that.
like there's one left.
They didn't really know that the witch girl, the pop locker, that her brother, and that she was the one who caused the whole thing. That it was like a red herring. She made them think or whatever.
I just think they're on the path to,
But that movie was trash.
repeat the same mistakes.
Nah.
Unless you keep this thing grounded is where I think it works, and it doesn't.
I
seem
think
like
it's going
they
to be
wanna do
better.
that.
It's
I mean,
definitely going to be better, man.
Let's.
I mean, you don't
let's
act
hope
like
so.
they don't have your money with the Rock in it. Come on, man.
And
like
they
you're not
do,
going to
but
see it. I'm going to see it, even if it's if it's trash. Then we're going to come here and talk about how trash it is. But my hope is that it's better than the first one, and they seem to be doing better.
I hope so. Okay, Mr. Woods.
I don't know. I think they're just reaching for The Rock's name because The Rock is The Rock, and so.
Hey,
so,
man, it makes money, man. You got to
right,
put them butts in them
you're pulling
seats.
money. I was just thinking that even
They trying to compete with Marvel. What you want?
All
They're
of
just
this-
happy to have signed The Rock before Marvel got him.
Right. All of these issues that DC is running into, and I always love the Batman trilogy.
Which one?
The newest one that was made
Nolan.
with Christopher Nolan's
The Dark
Batman
Knight trilogy is
Or
what they
thank you,
call that.
thank you,
What
Dark
they
Knight
called it.
trilogy. But I wonder if DC kind of got jammed up because they watched this phenomenal work that Christopher Nolan put together and saw how serious it was, and then
Yeah.
said, "We want that,"
Yeah.
right? And because
The
of
antithesis
seeing
to
that
Marvel.
and then trying to do that with Superman and all these other films and even with Suicide Squad, that's why they're in this kind of conundrum of just saying, well, we can't take ourselves too serious. We shouldn't be so dark. And yet, but Christopher Nolan, so it's like, it's almost as if they tried to put Christopher Nolan stuff in without putting it in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's just like people
And-
I need joy in a comic book movie.
Right, and so with the Black Adam, to your credit, Steve, about saying Black Adam and this mysticism, instead of it feeling fun, now you're hit with this situation where, well, these characters, I mean, yeah, they got some powers, but they really don't, and what's going on? And now they're fighting Black Adam, so it just it all feels disjointed, you know,
Right.
and it doesn't feel very connected. And you kind of start questioning, and that's not good when you're trying to create. It doesn't have to be an entire universe, but just within the canon of the films that you're showing, you just need to feel like once you sit down and you're watching the film, you're like, okay, I can rock with this. I can believe all of this is happening.
I mean, it's gonna be
Not a
entertaining,
character
but it's
pop
just like
locking and doing the Vogue.
even if there's gonna be a fight, but ultimately, of course, the Rock may, or Black Adam may retreat, but they're not gonna beat him or kill him,
Right.
Because he's gonna show up in the other movies.
And-
this is just like his introduction.
And again, that's the continuity. That how does Black Adam fit into Suicide Squad, and then fit into Shazam, and then fit into a possibility
movie.
of Justice
gonna be
League
his
or
own
whatever?
movie, yeah.
Yeah, it just that's where the issues come into. So that's all I have to say about that.
Well, now there is one more thing about the DCEU.
Wonder Woman?
They have released well, not released, but they've allowed people who have seen the movie Justice League to release their. They've allowed them to talk about it on social media.
Really?
So
So
that
no
means-
spoilers, but we've got a little
I
taste.
thought you said there was a
Well,
embargo.
again,
Oh.
I mean, it's coming out
the
Thursday.
real
so-
reviews can't come out, but you can give your online
Overall,
reactions because they're
Because
showing it to people.
that means that most people like it.
Well,
Or they're just like, it's not even whack.
Here we go.
a lot of that was sort of, a lot of people were saying, you know what, the film had problems, but it was fun.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
film, you can tell that it's two visions there. You have Zack Snyder's visuals
Okay.
and Joss Whedon's character.
When they went into kind of recut,
Right.
Yeah, to make
okay.
it feel like a team.
Got you.
Because Joss Whedon knows what to do because of the Avengers.
Right. So
And Joss Whedon gave it the comedy.
right. I want to read a quote
Well-
from someone who's seen it. This is John Snepp of Collider Video. He says, I saw Justice League, and it's a bumpy, amazing, uneven, bizarre, wet clay event. The Flash and Wonder Woman stand out. It's a good start. And that is essentially a version of what everyone has said.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I mean, we can discuss it more after Thursday when we see it.
All true.
Okay.
Now, in the sad news department, Universal's Monster Universe,
There was a Monster
It-
Universe?
not anymore, it's not. Apparently, it is falling apart. And
When was it together?
so people think it was supposed to start with Tom Cruise, but it was actually supposed to start with Luke Evans with that Dracula Untold.
I don't even know.
Exactly. That didn't work, and they said, you know what? We're gonna pull out the big guns. We're gonna. Wow, that just happened. That is basically the
That was
reaction.
clutch. That was clutch.
Basically, the reaction to this whole universe. And the thing is, like,
That was clutch.
they sort of put
Oh my
all
God.
of this effort into saying we've got this universe, we're connecting them all but they kind of forgot to make a good movie, right? So we can say that the MCU is connected, but you know what? They said they started with Iron Man, and they said, okay, that worked,
Right.
and then we will build things around that. This is what happens when you put your universe before, cart before the hearse.
Right.
This is universe
Cart
before
before
your
the horse.
movie.
Right.
Right. So, well, I said hearse on
Hearse.
purpose because this is dead.
Thank you.
But
Good
you know,
recovery.
they did these things like, you know, they took these Photoshop pictures and they said we've got Javier Bardem as the Wolfman, we've got Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man.
Were they all signed?
Well,
These are some key names.
no.
Oh
I
my
do. This
God.
apparently the picture they put out was like Photoshop, and you talk to Javier Bardem and Johnny Depp, they're like, I don't know about that.
Really?
so you know, I guess, you know, it's dead. It's not happening. They had basically they had like office space where where the whole writers room was.
Right.
That's gone now. They're shutting that down. The person who was supposed to be the Kevin Feige of this universe, he's like, yeah, I'm moving on to other projects. They had a Bride of Frankenstein thing happening. They're like, with Robert Zemeckis, they're like, yeah, we're gonna retool that. It's all falling apart.
It's effing done, son.
So you know,
that's all you gotta say. It's
I
effing
mean,
done.
look, sad to hear it, man, but it did. Here's the problem. I think with that franchise, again, aside from why the franchise didn't work, but why
that would have been cool
the
to
Mummy,
see the
right? But it's
monsters.
the monsters universe, and I think that they forgot to make it scary. They wanted to make it this big budget action
stylish
thing,
action.
and that's not why people look. Listen, the comic book movies work because they're from comic books. You have to respect the source material, so
Right.
make these things scary.
Tried
And
and
it's
true
possible
traditions.
because we see James Wan doing a connected sort of horror universe where you see that
Talking about Annabelle.
Annabelle is connected to The Conjuring,
Conjuring.
which is loosely
Right.
connected to Insidious, possibly.
Right.
But all those things are connected, and they're going to do another movie with that nun from those movies and
Okay.
sort of mix them together. But all the movies stand on their own.
Right.
And you don't need to say this is a part of a universe. It's just like a nice ad.
Gotcha.
And then you can put it together. It doesn't need to be this big summer blockbuster. So again, studios, giving you some advice now.
Oh, you know
Make
they're
a
definitely
good
listening.
movie first,
Before
and then talk to me about a
your
universe.
delusions
Don't
of
lead
grandeur.
with the universe thing, because then it's just like a cash grab. Like, just
Yeah.
slow down. Tell a good story, and then I want to come back for more.
Yeah.
I don't come to all these Marvel movies because they're like, oh, they're connected. I come to the Marvel movies because they're good movies individually, and when they get together, that
Most
makes
of
it
them
even
anyway.
better.
No, you come to the
Most of
Marvel
them.
movies because they all connect.
It's
No, that's not true. Because we've been going to see superhero movies from the
connected.
jump.
It's just because we're comic book
right?
kids, you know. We grew up on it.
So,
Shout out to Blade.
hey, man, if it's no Blade, it's
It's
no
none of it.
X-Men. If it's no X-Men, it's no all this other stuff. So
You
it
need to
goes
get.
back
You need to
Blade.
put some respect on
Blade
Wesley Snipes' name.
proved the model could work with the leather and the stuff, and I think that's how
That
we
whole
got
black
X-Men.
leather stuff.
And the X-Men
He started all
added
that
the
whole
CG,
All
and
black
when these
everything.
guys saw what they did with the CG and the X-Men and how they took it seriously, they was like, you know what, we could do this thing, and they
Right.
put together Iron Man. So you have to give credit to X-Men for starting this, but I don't think you
Snipes.
get X-Men without Blade.
Thank you.
So you ultimately everybody plays their part. We
Yes,
can't
sir.
say it's all because of Blade, but
No.
it's a
No.
progression. So
Yeah.
Blade leads to X-Men, even though they were in production at the same time. Blade did come out first.
Don't
came
forget
out the
about
year
Blade.
before.
That's all I'm saying.
So it's
What do
all
we
a
got
progression
next?
and played their part. Now, there's a little movie coming out called All the Money in the World. And
I don't have
I
that.
hate to be talking about this stuff. We talked about it last week. But apparently this is a Kevin Spacey movie, and Kevin Spacey is having some issues right now. And they've essentially
That's a nice way to put
decided,
it.
Sony has decided, this is Ridley Scott directing this thing, that they are going to cut him out of the movie completely. And
Is he
refilm-
starring in it, or he has a
He's
small?
one of the leads, yes. The movie is about him. It's about the Getty family. It's
Oh,
him and
wow.
Mark Wahlberg in this thing.
And he just got deleted.
And they're basically
He got
deleting him and replacing him with Christopher Plummer. Jeez.
What?
But here's the thing.
2 for 2.
Here's the thing.
Oh.
This is
When does this come out?
December 22nd, and Ridley
What,
Scott, they
2018?
believe, yes, 2017.
Oh, this year.
Yeah, in 2 months.
And so they're going to refilm all of his scenes
because
and
he
put out
only
the
shot for
same
2
movie.
weeks. He only shot for 2 weeks, so there's like, we could swing that, replicate,
Oh, wow.
whatever
And
scenes he did in 2 weeks and put it in the movie.
They're in a bind
That's
because we
crazy.
either like
Because
take
it's
him
not
out,
like a big CG film or something.
Right, right.
people are gonna boycott the film because of the things he has going.
Ain't nobody. I mean,
Well, no,
nah, if
they're
he's not in
getting
it,
him-
ain't
they're
nobody
getting rid
gonna.
of him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna boycott the film because he's not.
You can't
know,
boycott
he's
him
not
if
in
I'm
he's
it.
saying
not there.
because if he was in it,
If he's in
people
it,
would
yeah.
boycott it,
So,
so they would
their
lose
their
money.
hands are tied. They got to do what they got to do, man.
Wow.
And
It's sad.
again, it's important to remember that there are hundreds, sometimes 1,000 people that work on these films, and not all of them are terrible people. So
Right.
if we're gonna say, and that's these people's livelihood. Not everybody's a big millionaire. There's cameramen. There's people that
Right.
feed their families
Yeah.
off these things. So if the movie's coming out and people put their hard work into it, let's not let everybody suffer because this guy is dealing.
But
with
this is not the
what
first
he's
time. I
dealing
mean,
with.
when somebody dies, they reshoot stuff and put it. Like when Heath Ledger died, how they reshot the movie with a whole bunch of actors playing his role. That wasn't their initial plan, but it's just like because of the premise of the movie.
What movie was that?
Mr. Megorium's whatever it was
Oh
called.
yeah.
Wonder Emporium or some
Right,
crap like that.
Right.
Mm.
They just shot it with like 5-6 actors like playing the same part because it's like deals with reality in a different way, so they could do that.
Yeah. So I just
That's
that is
crazy.
that's important for us to just think about. Like if they can do that, that is like a feat in sort of movie making behind the scenes.
But like I said, it's
stuff.
not
If that
something.
can
Even
work,
with Paul Walker, how they had his brother play it and they CG'd his face over his brother.
right?
It's
But
just
they're
like-
doing it in 2 weeks and completely removing him because of
Yeah, I get it. I mean,
these-
but it's just like it's not that difficult because it's not CG is involved,
Not that.
and because also you said because he's so made up that you wouldn't even really know that it was Kevin Spacey, so it doesn't really matter.
And they're casting someone who doesn't need that makeup because he's actually that old.
Not that.
Christopher Plummer.
Right. Okay. So my quick question is, not that, this shouldn't happen to Kevin Spacey, right?
Right.
Because of all the drama and filth that's surrounding his name right now. But is this a one-off, or do you think this spells greater danger or for actors in this situation?
Everybody who
where
did some perv stuff
somebody
is done.
No. I'm not talking about. I'm just saying that if a studio feels empowered to say, you know what, I don't like how that came out. Let's just get rid of him, nullify the contract, and keep it moving.
No.
And
The
recast or
contract's
something
not
like that.
nullified. Kevin, let's be clear.
He's still getting
Kevin
paid.
Spacey's still getting paid.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
he gets paid. He's just out of the
So
movie.
he out of the movie. And look,
Oh,
the
okay,
studio is going to lose money on this movie.
Right.
And so they're doing what they have to do to try to recoup
To save face and recoup.
whatever they can.
Oh, okay.
So it's not fair to the studio that we put trust in you to lead this movie, and now
Right.
They spent how much
something
money?
in
They're
your
trying to get a
private life
return
is
on this.
now-
They done
Right.
already spent millions of dollars to make this movie, so they have to get a return on it. So they have to do whatever they can do. They don't want the bad publicity from Kevin Spacey, so they have to do whatever they can do to try to recoup.
right. They
Basically.
can't let one guy sink the
Man.
ship.
Right. Sink it. Right.
One bad apple can't spoil the whole bunch, man. You got to cut
So
off
time,
that limb before that limb, corrupts the whole body and you die.
Right.
Right. So, also, there is some more bad stuff in Hollywood.
There's always bad stuff in Hollywood.
Yeah,
People can't keep it in
just
their pants, man.
According
No, they
to Corey Feldman, apparently he had a run-in with Charlie Sheen. And actor Shane Austin from recently Stranger Things Season 2, or you may remember him as Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings, or you may remember him from The Goonies. He has corroborated Corey Feldman's story.
Wow.
And Charlie Sheen says he has no idea what they're talking about.
Why would he?
So,
On drugs.
It happened a long time ago. It's
The 80s, man.
apparently these are the things that happen. You got anything to say about this one, Mr. Johnson?
I mean, what I need to say is,
Keep it
I'm
PG.
sure. I mean, if somebody else is corroborating it, I know that Charlie Sheen is a
Wild
perverted
man.
individual, tiger blood and all that stuff, AIDS blood, really.
Slow down.
Hey man, I don't know if he got killed by that dude.
Slow down.
I'm just saying, if he got killed by that guy, but I can't say that Corey Feldman is lying if somebody else is corroborating.
The point is, we don't know.
I don't know. I'm not here to cast judgment on anyone. You feel me? But it's probable that he did do it. But what I want is Corey Feldman to come forward and say the names of the producers that he claimed were there running rampant in Hollywood, and this whole pedophilia thing that he went on The View and said some years back. It came back out recently, this episode of The View on the internet, especially with the Harvey Weinstein thing. But it's just like, address that. He said, I'm not the person to name the names, but if those people run Hollywood and been molesting children, you should name them. Name them. That's the big one. Like, Charlie Sheen is easy to go for.
Right. Mr. Woods, you got anything you want to say about this?
Break that will, man.
Yeah.
It's a system. It's disgusting.
Name names if you listen to this Corey Feldman or not, but
I don't think
name them names.
It's right. It's not right to young kids, females, males, anybody who has been touched inappropriately, sexually assaulted, or anything of that matter. That's disgusting, and all of that filth, as I said before, and I stand by it, needs to be purged and just eliminated, not only from the consciousness but from our society. Like, that's just not cool. It's just not. And that has been running rampant for a long time, and it's not just in film. We're well aware it's in all forms of industry, and it's not cool.
A little interesting fact: Corey Feldman, who was a big Michael Jackson fan, he emulated him in a couple of his films. He still emulates him now when he performs. He sings and he dresses up like Michael Jackson. He said, of all these people in Hollywood, who you would think, it's like Michael Jackson is the one person who never did anything wrong to him.
There's certain names that I have in my mind that, again, I don't have concrete evidence. It's anecdotal, but it's just a feeling. But there's certain names that in my mind that I'm sitting back saying, I'm wondering if this person is going to get called out in regards to Hollywood, and
people
are
the pissing their boots right now, waiting like, oh my God, I hope they don't say my name, because it's over. Like, it's like the age of transparency. All that stuff that you've done before, like, chickens are coming home to roost right now. It's just like, the paradigm has shifted. Like, all this stuff, the casting couch and the stuff that's been going on, because people are saying names now, it's just like every day more and more people feel emboldened to say, this is what happened.
Right.
So, like, people are really, like, walking on eggshells.
Yeah, you have all that money, and what you decide to do is just harm people with it and abuse power and touch people when it needs to be stopped. Everything needs to be consensual, man. I don't understand why people don't understand the word no. I don't know how that goes in one ear and out the other, but whatever. It's a very deep topic. I know we're kind of just glossing over it, so I'm not going to get too deep or anything like that. But break that wheel, break that
the cycle.
All right. Well, part of this, and I was gonna bring up Louis C.K., but I think it just speaks to the same thing. And this is sort of where
his disgusting stuff too that he says.
I want to leave this.
A lot of truth is said in jest.
I just sort of think that
I wonder who's going to say anything about Bob Saget.
It's coming. But go ahead, Steve.
And this is where I kind of want to leave this, and I hope everybody, I hope we don't have to talk about this next week. Hopefully, there's no new things that come up. And I hope no one from the Game of Thrones cast did anything. Do not mess that up for me. But seriously, we are at a sea change now. Things are changing. And I want to say two things. Firstly, and maybe change is supposed to be uncomfortable, but
it always is.
I do not know how I feel about people sort of losing everything and being shunned from society because of merely an accusation.
No, that's not how you do it. You don't shun them away, because where do they go?
No, but if you've admitted guilt, like Louis C.K.
No,
did,
I understand that.
or even like
and
Kevin
I understand
Spacey,
that it's a business
kind of
decision,
did.
and I understand that if
Yeah.
you bring negative press, we have to cut ties with you. I
Right.
get that.
Especially like
But
sexual
again,
stuff against children
just
and like
think about where we could go if we're just saying based off accusations that
That's it, you're done. You're right.
There's no guilty until proven innocent.
I agree with you with that.
So that said, I do think that certain things we need to understand that we've been raised in what is called rape culture. Sometimes we cannot understand that, and because it is just the way we have been raised, it is all we know, and so we sort of either find excuses for why this may be okay, or we try to find edge cases to say that, well, if this guy's getting accused, then maybe I can't just flirt with anyone because then they're gonna accuse me too.
Right, or how this person brought it
It's
upon
just like you
themselves.
never know if
or
you're gonna
something
get
like
laid
that.
if you don't say something, right?
So
maybe she likes me.
We need to understand that if we wouldn't want a thing happening to us, or we wouldn't want a thing happening to our daughters or our mothers and our sisters, then it should
or brothers,
or brothers
or sons.
We should not say that it is okay or explain away why a thing happens to a woman, or when we hear people need to be believed, and full stop. And I understand.
But let's be clear: people who falsely accuse need to be prosecuted.
We are not victim blaming, and
I'm not blaming a victim. I'm saying people who falsely accuse, because people who falsely accuse people of rape, and then people go to jail for that, and then you falsely accuse them, you should go to jail. So if you make a false accusation against someone and now they're losing monetary or whatever, you should be prosecuted for that.
But who that's making an accusation now?
I'm not talking about anybody right now. I'm just talking about in general.
He's saying in
so
general.
here's the I understand, and we cannot have a place. I'm not cool with just accusations
just flying out,
yeah.
right?
And then, but that said, I'm saying, like, if we're thinking about this practically, because this is what happens, right? And this is part of the pervasive culture that is this patriarchy, is that we hear about these things. We hear about a woman, you're right, being or a man or a boy being abused or treated inappropriately by a man that we may know of, and automatically what we do, those words that we say, because words matter,
right?
Words matter. When we jump to but what about the people who are falsely accusing? That is a form of sort of shutting down that argument. It's not directly doing it. You're not doing it on purpose. But I'm saying the effect.
Who's shutting down what argument?
I'm not saying you're doing it on purpose, but
You're saying I'm shutting down whatever argument?
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when we jump to the edge case of the woman doing something wrong, then it can lead an effect. It can lead
don't you put
to.
That shit on me, Ricky Bobby.
I'm not putting it on you, but I'm just saying. I'm saying that we need to understand and say that when we hear about these things, someone was accused. Why can't we leave it at that? Why do we have to also bring up that the bad actors of the false accusers? That is a way to sort of not deal with this problem. Deal with this problem. Leave that for another day. We don't have to mention that in this.
He's gonna say he's not talking about me, and then he directly talking about what I just talked about people falsely accusing. But you're not talking about me.
I'm saying it's not about you, and I'm saying many of us do this, myself included, and I'm just saying we need to understand that, and that is part of the culture, and it is subconscious that these things happen.
You saying that but if you're not saying me, but you're directly taking a quote from me, but that's not what I said. I wanted to be clear. That's not what I said.
Okay, what did you say?
Not that.
What did you say?
About false.
Why are we talking about false accusers right now?
Why? Because you said people shouldn't be found guilty because of accusations. So I said if people falsely accuse, then they should be prosecuted. That's why. That's how it related.
But the point that I'm trying to make
you get it? No,
I got it from the beginning, and I'm not saying that that's what you were trying to say. But I'm saying when we come to those conversations of prosecuting accusers. So if I can't prove that you did something to me, then I should go to jail?
No, but if I can prove that you're lying, you should.
I don't know. And just the fact that we're having that conversation makes people afraid to want to come forward in the first place. So we need to have an environment where we're not throwing people's livelihood away just because of an accusation, but we also need an environment where people can feel safe and comfortable to come forward when these things happen. And we need to have both of those conversations, I guess, if it's possible. And with that,
wrap this thing up.
That was, and I hope to God we're not talking about this next week, but that was On the Real, episode 3, our news edition, and we thank you for staying in this long. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Mr. Woods, tell them, or Mr. Johnson, tell them where they can find you at the particulars.
At the dude.
I've
said it before, but I just haven't said it in a couple shows.
So
for those for the illiterate.
Wow. Also, send all your hate tweets.
Yeah, I don't tweet. So
Marty McFly.
You sending it to whoever because I don't even tweet, but it's there.
Okay, Mr. Woods,
for nobody to read.
Because you care about the audience. Tell them where they can find you.
You tweet.
Why Woods? Why not? On Instagram, Twitter, things like that.
Keep it simple.
I'm starting to get into Twitter, so I'll figure that out and navigate that. Or you can check out some photos, some of my writing, poetry, things like that, my thoughts, anecdotes, and so forth on whywoodswhynot.com.
All right, and it's just me. You can find me at Steve A.M. Johnson on your favorite social media network, as long as it's not Snapchat. Again,
why do you hate Snapchat so?
Because it's going down. It's going to get acquired.
Twitter's going down.
It won't.
280 characters.
Again, we're not talking about that right now, but thank you for coming in this long. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. We want to hear from you. We want to take your questions on the show.
Yes.
Tell us what you think. Thank you. And we are out.